Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Young and Restless spoilers. August 30. Nick makes a very bad decision. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Friday, August 30, prove that Nick has learned nothing about his two favorite ex-wives. Whether you believe that Sharon Case, or Phyllis, Michelle Stafford, is the love of Nick's, Joshua Morrow, who says Nick is worried about Sharon life. Sharon, it's obviously Sharon. You have to agree that the two women don't like each other. Nay, they hate each other. This is why you should also agree that Nick talking to Phyllis about Sharon is a very bad idea. We understand that Nick is worried about Sharon, especially in the wake of Faith's railing caster accident, which brought back horrible memories of Cassie's, Cameron Grimes, death. But what does he possibly think Phyllis might have to contribute to the situation? And even if Phyllis were to come up with brilliant insight, she is such a sane person herself. Just how well do you think it would go over if Sharon ever found out it was her idea? This is a lose-lose, Nick. Do. Not. Do. Hit. He's going to do it. Summer, Allison Lanier, and Kyle, Michael Mealer, seem to have come to a joint custody agreement for Harrison, Redding Munsell, who did this. Summer also seems to have made her peace with Claire, Haley Aaron, being Harrison's nanny. But you know who isn't happy about either of those things? Victor, Eric Braden. Victor has decided he wants Claire to work at Newman Enterprises. No, of course, he doesn't get an opinion on the matter. Don't be silly. To that end, Victor has ordered Kyle to fire Claire. No, sorry, he told Kyle to find a replacement for Claire, so she'd leave on her own. Totally different. But since Kyle refused, Victor's next move is to take matters into his own hands, which means manipulating Summer into confronting Claire and making her quit, for everybody's own good. Genoa City had been quieter than usual, but the calm was just the precursor to a storm that no one saw coming, especially not Nick Newman. The morning sun bathed the Newman Enterprises building in golden light, but inside a different kind of heat was brewing. Nick had always prided himself on being the more grounded Newman sibling, the one who could walk away from his father's ruthless business tactics and still manage to thrive. But today, as he sat in his office, staring out at the city skyline, he knew he was about to make a decision that would change everything. The weight of the choice settled heavily on his chest, suffocating him, yet driving him toward a path that could only end in disaster. The source of Nick's turmoil was a folder lying ominously on his desk. Inside were the details of a plan to bring down Adam Newman once and for all. Victor had always pitted his sons against each other, but this time the stakes were higher than they'd ever been. The battle lines had been drawn, and Nick was on the verge of crossing one that could not be uncrossed. Phyllis had warned him. Nick, you're playing with fire. Adam isn't just another obstacle you can outmaneuver. This could destroy you. Her words echoed in his mind as he opened the folder for the 100th time. Phyllis had always been his rock, the one person who could see through the fog of Newman family drama and offer clarity. But even her sharp intuition hadn't been enough to deter Nick from the path he was considering. The plan was simple but brutal. Using his connections within the company, Nick had discovered a way to undercut Adam's latest venture, a major deal that would cement his position at Newman Enterprises. The deal was critical, not just for Adam, but for the company's future. If Nick pulled the trigger, Adam's career would be in ruins, and Victor would have no choice but to side with Nick. It was a move that would secure his position as the rightful heir and push Adam out of the company, possibly for good. But there was a catch, one that gnawed at Nick's conscience. The plan involved sabotaging a partnership with an overseas firm, a company that had a spotless reputation and was heavily invested in humanitarian efforts. If Nick went through with it, not only would Adam's deal crumble, but innocent people could lose their jobs, and the firm's charitable projects could suffer. The fallout wouldn't just be professional, it would be personal, affecting lives in ways Nick didn't want to consider. He glanced at the clock, 11:58 a.m. The deal was set to go through at noon. He had 2 minutes to decide, cross the line or back away. His phone buzzed with a text from Victoria, a simple message that read, "Are you sure about this?" Nick clenched his jaw. Victoria had been supportive, but even she had reservations about the plan. The siblings had grown closer in their shared frustration with Adam, But this decision felt different. It was one thing to compete within the family, it was another to orchestrate a downfall that could destroy more than just Adam's career. As the clock struck noon, Nick made his choice. With a quick series of taps on his keyboard, he sent the final command that would set the plan in motion. The email confirming the sabotage went out, and there was no turning back. The next few hours were a blur. Nick went through the motions of his day, but his mind was elsewhere. He couldn't shake the feeling that he'd crossed a line that shouldn't have been crossed. When he finally left the office, it was nearly dark outside. The city lights twinkled below, mocking him with their brightness. He headed to Crimson Lights, hoping to find solace in a cup of coffee. As he walked in, he spotted Sharon behind the counter, her smile fading as she saw the look on his face. "Nick, what happened?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. Nick shook his head, unable to find the words to explain. Sharon had always been able to read him, and tonight was no different. She reached out, placing a hand on his arm. "You did something, didn't you?" Nick sighed, sinking into a chair. "I made a decision, Sharon, a really bad one. I thought I was protecting the family, but now I'm not so sure." Sharon sat across from him, her eyes searching his. "Nick, you have to tell me what's going on. Whatever it is, we can figure it out." Before Nick could respond, his phone buzzed again. This time it was a call from Victor. Nick hesitated before answering, bracing himself for the fallout. "Dad," he began, but Victor cut him off. "Nick, what the hell have you done?" Victor's voice was low, furious. "Do you have any idea what you've set in motion?" Nick's stomach dropped. He knew his father was angry, but the intensity in Victor's voice was terrifying. "I thought I was doing the right thing," Nick said weakly. "The right thing?" Victor's laugh was cold. "You've just handed Adam a golden ticket. The deal fell through, but Adam had a backup plan, a plan that's now making him look like a hero. He's already spun it to the board, and they're eating it up. You just make him stronger than ever." Nick's world tilted. He'd been so sure that this would be the move to finally rid him of Adam's shadow. But instead, he played right into his brother's hands. The very sabotage that was supposed to take Adam down had given him the perfect opportunity to swoop in and save the day. Victor's voice hardened. "This isn't just about Adam anymore, Nick. The board is questioning your judgment, and so am I. You've compromised the company, and now you're going to have to clean up this mess." As Victor hung up, Nick was left staring at his phone in disbelief. He'd made a very, very bad decision, a decision that could cost him everything. The Nguyen family had always been a battlefield, but Nick had just realized that in this war, there were no winners. Only survivors. And as Nick sat there, the weight of his choice pressing down on him, he knew that the fallout had only just begun. The storm was coming, and this time, there would be no shelter from the damage it would cause.